Check, check. Okay. Madam Chair, we're ready to go.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the City of Riverside Planning Commission, starting with roll call.
Mrs. Denning,
Here.
Mr. Hairston,
Present.
Mr. Owens,
Here.
Mr. Rogers,
Here.
Mr. Vasquez.
Here.
Seeing how we have no absent members, we'll move on to additions or corrections to the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda at this time?
No, we have no to suggest, Madam Chair.
Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as published.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as published. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Did we get minutes? Did we get minutes?
Yes.
Yeah, November 18th.
Okay. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as published.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as published.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as published. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Before we move on to our public hearing tonight, I'm just going to go over our public meeting rules and procedures. This is the December 11th, 2024 regular meeting of the Riverside, Ohio Planning Commission to hear cases advertised for the this public meeting. As the presiding officer of today's hearing, it is my responsibility to ensure the commission is able to orderly administer its public business and tend to all matters on the agenda. It is also my responsibility to establish the rules and procedures for today's meeting. The following rules are in place for today's meeting. Please be courteous and respectful to all the members of the Planning Commission and your fellow citizens. Today's proceedings are being recorded. Anyone wishing to address the commission must do so from the podium. All speakers must provide sworn testimony under oath. Before testifying, any speaker must read the oath available at the podium. All speakers understand that any testimony provided shall be considered public record and will be reflected in the minutes of today's meeting. Agendas and speaker forms are located in the rear of the room near the entrance of the council chamber. Agenda, staff reports, and other meeting documents can be found on the riverside.gov. Under certain circumstances, such as a long agenda or a large number of people wishing to speak, the chair may limit persons other than the applicant speaking at the public meeting. This includes parties who wish to testify in support, opposition, or neither nor against the proposal. The procedure for public meetings is as follows. The chair will read the case number, address, and a brief description. Staff will give a presentation about the case and their recommendations. The chair will open the public hearing portion of the case. The applicant or their representative will make a presentation and/or be available for questions by the Planning Commission under oath. Any other person in favor of the proposal will be heard under oath. Neutral parties will then be heard under oath. Finally, those opposed to the proposal will be heard under oath. Each stance will have a collective of 20 minutes to speak, and each individual will have no more than 3 minutes to speak. You may not pass your time to another person. The applicant or the representative will have the opportunity to rebuttal. The Planning Commission's deliberations will be open to the public under state law. Any statement related to the case must be made during the public hearing. No party will be allowed to speak during deliberations of the Planning Commission. Crosstalk or utterances from the audience create an undue distraction for the recording of the minutes, interference with the administration of the agenda, and cannot be considered as sworn testimony. The chair has the responsibility to limit disruptions and keep order at the meeting to allow the commission to conduct its business. We want to thank you all for your interest in participating in the public meeting tonight. We will now hear the first case of the agenda. The case before the commission tonight is preliminary planned unit development application to rezone certain parcels of a planned unit development district known as a PUD. The commission will consider the standards for approval in the Unified Development Ordinance and the Comprehensive Land Use Plan to determine if the preliminary PUD and proposed PUD development text align with the city's land use plan and overall community standards. It is important to note the scope of tonight's hearing. The scope is limited solely to the initial application for the preliminary PUD or rezoning. The scope does not detail about the development plan. The meeting tonight is for a limited purpose. The purpose is to hear staff's recommendations and the applicant's information in order for the Planning Commission to make a recommendation to City Council as to the rezoning request. This is an initial request. If a recommendation is made to City Council, they will follow their process for a rezoning, which involves at least 2 meetings before the rezoning may or may not be approved. With that being said, I will turn the floor over to staff to provide background on the application and their recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I asked Naya just to double check that our podium mic is functional given the folks in attendance this evening. While she's doing that, I'll just kind of briefly add on that as the chairs described, and for folks that may be watching at home, this is part 1 of a multi-part process. Thank you, Naya. Part 1 of a process that has several steps. So even if Planning Commission recommends approval or denial this evening, the City Council still has the opportunity to weigh in at council meetings. There's public comment also at those council meetings. And then this process that the Planning Commission is considering this evening is strictly to do with the rezoning, as the chair said. So Ms. Holt's staff report really concerns the process that staff go through when we get these kinds of development requests and how we evaluate those against our comprehensive land use plan, which had significant community input and was adopted back in 2023, as well as our current land use code. And I will turn it over to Ms. Holt to start her testimony and her presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Do you need to swear in at all?
I do. I, Nia Holt, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. Address is 5200 Springfield Street, Riverside, Ohio, 45431. This is case number PC 24009, and it's dealing with 2 addresses, 5514 Burkhart Road and 600 Spinning Road. As Madam Chair mentioned, this is a preliminary PUD application to rezone the 2 parcels from the current zoning of B1 Neighborhood Business District to a planned unit development district. So just to go over what a planned unit development district is, it is usually a large-scale development involving 1 or multiple parcels, and we're looking at whether that development adheres to our comprehensive plan, but a PUD allows for a flexibility of site design or land use planning. For this particular development, we're looking at mixed use, which is not permitted in the current B1 zoning. so allowing the mix of residential units as well as business retail uses as well. So as I mentioned before, the current zoning right now is B1, and it's outlined in blue the current parcels that are involved in this project. This is the aerial map of the site, and what is proposed right now is just over 400 units. It is going to be about 5 stories. There will be a garage that is surrounded by retail and the different residential units, and I'll have the developer show you more renderings of it. There are a few in here. Now you can see the proposed site plan where you have a community kind of amphitheater space here that's proposed. The design allows for the fire department to access all uses or proposed building. There's 2 primary entrances off Burkhart and Spinning that are proposed, and about 100,000 square feet of retail space proposed. There we go. So this is where you can see the different floors and units that are stacked and proposed at the different levels of the site. And again, I'll mention the developer has a better look at this. This is an example rendering of the project. This is an example of something that was done similar in Carmel, Indiana. Now, we mentioned that the PUD gives a flexibility. So I looked at our code and took the B1 and our R4, which is the multifamily district that we have in our code, and compared it to what is offered in this Plan U development text. For example, in B1, we have a setback of 25 feet from residential. Well, in order to make the best use of this land, the setback would be 8 feet, but it allows for residential paths and sidewalks to be permitted in that setback. And then you have parking spaces, what's permitted in, the multifamily is 2 per unit. This parking would allow for parking for both the residential and for the mixed use, which is the retail side. So this is what it currently looks like, the space that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, the shopping center that is on Burkhart and Spinning. This is the former Capitol Cleaners that is on 600 Spinning. Now this is a better view of like the whole development site where most of the structures will go. And this is the properties across the street, just to give you an idea of the surrounding area. Just more view of the area in the intersection. Some of this will be where the proposed amphitheater will go, or community space. Here's the proposed entrance on Burkhart and the proposed entrance on Spinning. And going back to that intersection where there is a proposed roundabout, I emphasize proposed on this one because we still need a traffic impact study to see how this will go in this space. And we'll be working with our engineers and their engineers team to see how that would fit in this space. So these are our findings. We find that this is adequately justified using the standards in our code for plan unit development. And we do recommend that Planning Commission give a positive recommendation to the City Council because this does align with our comprehensive plan and will provide much needed housing stock. We do recommend it with some conditions. One of them is that we execute a traffic and vehicular circulation MOU prior to the City Council's first reading. And that once the planning commission, should they approve the rezoning, that they come back to the city within 90 days with a final development plan. Are there any questions for staff?
Thank you, Ms. Holt. Okay, we're going to move on to our applicant. Thank you, sir, for making the long journey.
Just not bad at all. Thank you. I'm Dan Moriarty, 3628 Eden Place in Carmel, Indiana. Affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. And to spell my name, it's Daniel, is Moriarity. And thank you for allowing us to present tonight. Diego Gracia, the representative of the ownership team, is with me here tonight and available as well. It's an exciting night for us. It's something we've been working on for, I know Naya's been working on it with Diego for some months now, and Lori. And
Can you make sure you're speaking a little bit more into the microphone? Maybe raise
Okay.
it up
Okay.
a
Sorry.
little bit.
Thank you.
I'll try to.
Is that better?
I'll try to adjust the volume on our end here too, real quick. Bear with me.
The city
Okay.
clerk just needs to be able to hear you when she goes to do the minutes.
I did a nice job explaining most of the aspects of the project. At the risk of repeating myself, I'll touch on them again. Are you able, Naya, to pull up this as well? She'll pull up the site plan here in a second. As Naya mentioned, there's at this point 403 apartment units planned with about 100,000 square foot of retail. The total development has a gross square footage of 811,000 square feet. So you can see it's a significantly sized building. As I'm sure you're all aware, the site does slope from Burkhart to the, actually it's not east, but to Plan East, about 20 feet, I think, from side to side. So there is a level change in the building. And so when we talk about the reason I have the section in the documents I think you have is to kind of show you where that split happens from side to side. We're planning to do a podium, what would be called a podium structure, which is a concrete structure for the retail with the housing units built above it that surround the garage. We have 1,000 parking spaces essentially that would be required for this development, and those are provided through a combination of the garage and the surface parking. Generally, in a mixed-use development of this nature, density is the key, right? We want to bring density and the housing density with the retail and potential office space such that there's an opportunity for both the residents and the surrounding neighbors to use and walk in a walkable environment. So even though we are still a car society, so it's good to have, in our minds, some, we would call it teaser parking or some surface parking for someone who wanted to come in and use the retail, who's just getting a cup of coffee or dropping something off, so they don't have to park in the garage. So we generally try to provide a little bit of both. Garage, in this case, 740 cars in the garage, and then another, I think it's 267 on the surface. We've also envisioned a plaza at the corner of Spenning and Burkhart that really we want this to be a place, a gathering place, right? We want this to be a place within Riverside that the neighborhood can come together, take advantage of the programming that can take place. We have very similar spaces like this to some of our other projects, and some of the things that can happen here are, big screen TV. We have one with outdoor gaming type, pool tables, ping pong tables, seating areas, checkers, chess, all that sort of thing. For us, the key to this development is again, providing that place that people want to be. And people have a reason to come. They want to come back. They'd like to live there maybe someday. And to provide a good experience for the residents, but then also provide a good experience for the neighbors. So it becomes an integral part of the community and something that hopefully is seen as a piece of your overall development overall city plan that I know you've spent a lot of time on. This site has been identified as one of the key parcels to redevelop in the neighborhood, and we hope to be a part of that and continue that that thinking that you've put in so far on this. We do have, if you wouldn't mind, yep, this is a blow-up of the plaza in the front there, and this is a notion of the type of the space that we'd like to talk about and work with. I mean, usually we work like the Parks Department. I assume you have someone who'd be interested in this space and how it could be used by the public and what would be the best uses to put in a place like this. We've shown, again, generally some areas that could be used in several different ways. And again, that's to hopefully bring the community into the development and make it feel like it's part of the neighborhood. If we can flip one more page here, Naya, this shows the, whoops, did we pass one? Is there one more in between there or no? Oh, I lost one along the way there, but it may be coming up. This shows very much a similar thing. This is just a 3D massing model of the property. This is to scale and with the proper heights for each floor. As you can see, I'll call it kind of the peach color at the bottom is retail space. We've got one larger retail space that we're hoping, would to attract a grocery of some type for that space. As I noted, there's 100,000 total square feet of retail. On top of those spaces, and particularly on top of the garage, is where we put the amenities for the residents, the swimming pool, what we call the quiet courtyard, the outdoor courtyard where there's cooking opportunities and things of that nature. And I think I've got a few pictures of a very similar project that we've developed or that we've designed in Carmel that uses those same concepts. This is just another angle. This is from the corner. Looking back, you can see the L-shaped building there has the retail on the first floor that surrounds the plaza. We'd hope to attract restaurants and the ability to sit outside and with the housing above it. There is a pass-through through the building that you can kind of see that the connection there between the two where I can drive under, and that would have the clearance for a fire truck or for trucks and trash trucks, things like that to get through the development. We also have then the retail on the right side of the building there. You can see it in the peach color, and then the L or the U as it kind of shapes around to the back there where the potential grocery is. This would be the shot from Burkhart looking across the back, more or less, of the development. Again, this shows that really this building doesn't have a back door in a way. I mean, and mixed-use developments like this, they're seen from all directions, right? And so we need to pay attention to all four sides of the building and the streetscape and the walkability and the access to all the various uses. So we're thinking of the retail as having both sides active and not just be, electric meters and dumpsters along the back. We really want that to be a flow-through type of space that if, say, a restaurant was there, I could park on this side of the building, enter the restaurant, and then I could exit the back side to go out to the plaza for outdoor eating, that sort of thing. This is just a statistics page. It shows you the number of apartments, the types of apartments, the amount of retail, and then those levels that I talked about and how that those buildings relate to each other. And the drawings that or these pictures that Naya also presented, this just shows you, this is just 2 blocks from my office. And I think the exciting thing for me about this is when we built this building, this was an old salt barn for the city was there. There was a grain elevator that had been abandoned for 50 years. There was piles of dirt. I mean, there was nothing here. And the city had the vision to allow this kind of development to help along the Monon, and it's been great. If you get the chance to be over in the Annapolis area, give me a call. I would love to show you around this as an example of this is the kind of quality that Diego and his partners want to bring to the neighborhood. This is not this will be the type of development that hopefully brings some real quality spaces, quality living spaces, restaurants, other retail and commercial space that, befit the city of Riverside is a great place to be. These are just samples of the apartments that are in that building. My daughter lived there, actually went to Dayton, lived there, and this is the level of quality of finish and whatnot that we would plan for the apartments. And I think the last one here, Naya, has some shots of the courtyard on top of the garage. Maybe I've passed that already, but the courtyards on top become those quiet spaces. When you do live here, you want a space that's maybe not as commercial or as busy as the surrounding retail will be, so it gives the users, the residents there, a place for a swimming pool and to hang out and cook out and that sort of thing. I'm more than happy to answer any questions y'all may have. I know there's a lot of information here, and it's a big decision, but we're very excited about the opportunity to be part of the Riverside community and look forward to hearing any comments or questions.
Any questions for the applicant from commissioners? All right, thank you very much. All right, at this time, are there any other forms that need to come forward? Okay. I've received one form. This is a neutral, and Peggy Weaver.
Yeah, I really just have a couple questions.
Okay, I just need you to come to the mic. You still have to take the oath in that, please.
Peggy Weaver.
Can you pull the mic down?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Let's see. Peggy Weaver at 701 Spinning Road, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct and to the best of my knowledge. I live right next to the VFW. The VFW, the open lot, and then on the very first residential house. And I just really wanted to ask questions on the value of the homes that we're going to be putting up. I mean, what are they selling for? Are they condos? Are they leased? Are they rented to the applicant? And the flow, I see the circle or the turnabout, which is, I like. I've seen it over at Carmel, Indiana. And we're wanting to know where the entrances were going to be proposed on Spinning Road, because right now there's 3 approaches going into the Kroger lot now, which one is right diagonal from my house. And then there's the main entrance where the current building is standing now, and then a little bit further down. So I don't know if those were all still 3 going to be there, or if they were going to be changed. I'm just concerned with the traffic flow. I'm on a land use committee for the city of Dayton, so I was just kind of concerned with that, and also the tree, the landscaping, how that was going to all play out as far as around the lot area on the surface parking.
Okay, so some of the landscaping and the cost and that sort of thing will come more in the planning
Okay,
phase versus
sure.
this phase. This is only about the rezoning.
Okay.
But since we did have a picture that showed the 2 entrances, I think it's the one closer to where the Capitol Cleaners is on Spinning, and the one on the other side of Capitol, in between Capitol and the apartment building, I believe, are the 2 I saw.
While Naya pulls up that rendering, I do want to emphasize that the traffic circle, the roundabout, still has to be proven as part of a traffic study too,
Sure.
just to be sure that traffic can be accommodated
Yeah.
using that feature. But yes,
I think that's beautiful. I like turnarounds. I think they're a lot easier than the lights.
Well,
There's
and-
been a lot of accidents at that intersection, and
just
people
gonna
have
say.
died there, so I'm all for that turnabout.
Yeah, there are folks in the room that have been rear-ended at that intersection.
Yes.
And so it is a problem. But to the standing up right now. Yeah, people who are standing up now. But yeah, the proposed entrances are,
Okay, so the one at the very closest to my house will still be there versus, so that traffic flow will be immense for me. Right, right. Okay. Yeah, so that one will be, that was the one where all the semis came in So you're going to have a lot of people going in and out right there.
The Burkhart entrance will also still be accessible though as well.
Sure, yeah. I was just curious about the ones on Spinning Road with the traffic coming in and out of there, one for our residential part of that area with all the surface parking right there. It's a lot. So, okay. So that's all I had.
And there might be something that comes out of the traffic study too. We don't know yet. So
Right,
that's
right.
all still
Okay.
part of the planning phase
Sure.
and all that. The only reason I was addressing that is because it was kind of in the rendering that was shown.
Yeah.
But a lot of that'll be final decisions when they come back
Okay.
if the rezoning gets approved.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Weaver. Okay, I had one more handed to me, and this is in support of, and Brett Domasek.
Hi, Brett Domasek at 250 Woodman Drive. Affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Planning Commission is correct to the best of my knowledge. Hallelujah. This is an absolutely great looking setup. And as far as residential property, as well as business capabilities for that area, walking community, it's something that we've looked for a long time. We've talked about it a long time around here in Riverside, and we have never been able to find a place to do it, and hallelujah, you found it. I hope that you'll consider this situation. I do have a question. Do you have an idea roughly, sir, what the rent ranges will be in the apartments? Are they one-bedroom, two-bedroom, three-bedroom mix?
That'll be more in our next planning phase.
The next stage?
Yeah,
Okay.
once we know that everything else is going to be approved and we know exactly what we're approving building-wise.
Okay, very good. Just wanted to get an idea of what we're looking at. And certainly, at the look of the rendering, it looks like a tremendous building, and I just think it's an absolute plus for this community. It will be absolutely a godsend to come here. So hopefully, you'll consider this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will say the development text allows up to 2 bedrooms. So studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms.
Okay, I have no other audience wishing to speak at this time. So I'll pass these back down to the clerk. At this time, this is the opportunity for the applicant, if there's any rebuttal or anything you want to add.
Thank you. I want to thank Dad for being here tonight. I didn't know he was going to be here. That was great to hear the positive comment. No, I think just in terms of trying to answer Ms. Weaver's questions, there are no condos planned. And yeah, he pointed out the 3 entrances, and landscaping, something we would take very seriously because we want the plaza and the streetscape to be really nice, because that's one of the things that makes it walkable, and we want to separate the traffic and the pedestrians, et cetera. And as Nye said, that eventually the apartments are made up of studio, 1 and 2 bedrooms. They generally range from 600 square feet to probably 1,100 square feet, plus or minus. So as far as rent range, that's something I'm sure will be determined as we go along here.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. At this time, seeing that there's no other residents who wish to speak, I'm going to close the public hearing, and the Planning Commission will go into deliberations. Anything from commissioners? All right. And Ms. Holt, just to verify, I know that when I first talked to you, I had some safety concerns, but all that's been met with the fire department as far as how they can get around the building and the fact that it would be our largest structure.
Yes, so they would be able to, yes, get around the building. If, because of the height, they can call mutual aid.
Thank you. Anything else?
Well, just kind of a follow-up to that, does the Riverside Fire Department have any apparatus that would reach the 5th floor? So it'd all be dependent on mutual aid?
We do not have a ladder truck.
Okay.
there are ladder trucks in close proximity that if an event happened, would be able to respond in a timely manner to assist us.
And the chief said that he was comfortable with the fact they could get around the buildings
That's correct.
and be able to start kicking down a fire if the ladder truck was
Yes.
a little further out, because that was my concern. Anything else from commissioners? Any other deliberation? Are we ready to make a recommendation?
I'm ready to make a motion regarding case number 24-0009. I move to recommend approval of the preliminary planned unit development district, the Ascent at Riverside, with the conditions listed in the staff report based on the report, City of Riverside Comprehensive Plan, and evidence and testimony heard today.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to council to approve PC case number 240009, the 5514 Burkhart and 600 Spinning Road. Is there any further discussion at this time? Roll call, please.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Hairston?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
Mrs. Denning?
Yes. Motion carries. The recommendation will go forward as a positive recommendation to City Council, and then City Council will hold their hearings as well. I'd like to, before we move on with our staff agenda, I'd like to thank everyone here tonight. And I'm going to go out on a limb here. This is one of the largest, and we've had several large meetings in the last couple of years, thanks to Ms. Holt and the new staff here in the city. We've had a lot of development going on. Very well behaved. Thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you tremendously. And thank you for
Mostly.
supporting this developer. I hope you'll show up to the city council meeting with the same support, because now it's in their hands. Developer, if you will get with Ms. Holt on next steps and dates and things of that nature, that would be great.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Yes.
Just to briefly weigh in, so the next step is that this will go to the City Council for consideration. The council adopts an ordinance, assuming the council adopts an ordinance to affect the rezoning. That takes 2 readings. That has not yet been scheduled. It will obviously go sometime early next year. We will be upfront with folks as far as when that makes the council agenda. And even should the council approve the rezoning, that is still not the end of this process. It's still very much the beginning. There's a lot of work that occurs behind the scenes with the developer, with staff, to iron out all the details, hopefully to continue to move the project forward in the coming months. But I want to thank Ms. Holt in particular and Ms. Minnick for all their work, and all of the folks that we have been corresponding with, the developers team as well, and the community. These projects don't happen out of thin air, and we've had a great working relationship that's been forged so far, and I really look forward to continuing that into next year.
And I have to say, out of all the developers, the fact that you reached out way ahead of time to our residents and asked for their suggestions and opinions and held meetings before you even had to, shows your commitment to our community. And I thank you very much personally for that.
Oh, one final thing, if I may. Sorry, it's completely unrelated. Since we have residents here, we have no soliciting stickers. They're up front. If you're interested in grabbing one on your way out, council adopted that ordinance as well. Happy to hook you up with one of those. That's all.
And let's just go a little bit further, City Manager, and let's say that you can go online to get updates when things are added to the website.
Correct.
And with things that are going on with the city, you can sign up to get notifications when that happens.
So I'm just going to say nothing just so I can add a last word.
We could combat that, but we won't. I still got the last word. Okay, moving on to staff. We have to have fun once in a while, guys, and you guys have been wonderful. Thank you so much. Moving on to the rest of our agenda, staff discussion topics?
Well, since we have so many people here, I would like to encourage people, we have openings on boards and commissions, so if you're interested, please contact us to let us know. You can also sign up online, but that's all I have. Thank you. Happy holidays.
All right. Matters by commission?
Nothing to report.
Nothing for myself.
None.
None. Happy holidays.
Okay, I'd just like to wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all of those things. And I'm going to go on a limb here. And, well, first we'll go down the line. Ms. Lomatch, is there anything you'd like to, as a city council member?
No, except I think it's great that we have this turnout, and I thank all of you for your time. And I'm excited. I can't wait to see something happen on that corner. I think it'll be a plus for everybody.
Ms. Minnick? I know I didn't say that right. I never do.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yeah, I'm very pleased with everyone coming together, the hard work. We certainly worked as a team. I certainly appreciate the owner and the project team working so closely with the city. There's a lot of respect between all parties, and we're working forward together to provide a really healthy and family-oriented project in Riverside.
Thank you. Mr. Miller, our legal eagle here.
Oh, thank you. I'll take that. So I'm excited to work with city staff and the developer from a legal standpoint to make sure we can support the developer and their team from a legal perspective, and working with staff to hopefully move this forward with community support and make a development that really benefits our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. City manager, final
Well, I've
word.
talked enough, I think. Thank you.
And of course, our mayor.
Josh is right, he has talked enough. I certainly would just be a broken record to repeat what's been said, but I certainly want to thank the folks that are with us this evening in our audience, and we thank Naya a lot tonight. I don't think we've thanked her enough, because these types of things, A, don't happen on their own, and they don't happen without the proper staff members in place with expertise and passion for the profession of planning. And many of us, Planning Commission members and a few City Council members, were at a annual workshop that the American Planning Association offers that's at Sinclair. And I saw so many of the City Riverside colleagues here, and it gave me such a great feeling to know how serious we take the profession of planning, and not just throw something here, throw something there, but really thoughtful. The city strategic plan and the city land use plan that Mr. Moriarty was holding, Mr. Gracias is holding, the One Riverside plan, was a product of this community. It was a product of almost 900 different individuals in our community giving inputs, with staff and professionals helping along that way. So this is certainly exciting. I would certainly echo Ms. Lomatch's thoughts that this is a very exciting thing, but it's also what we're building towards. And for that, I can only say thank you, especially to our staff and our Planning Commission, for having the foresight and the follow-through to put together our now year-old or so land use plan, and with an eye towards how do we attract development that's right for our city. And a special thank you to the citizens here, along with the property owner, along with Diego, who have had a very vibrant dialogue outside of official city government. It wasn't city staff saying, we need something here right now. It was conversations between the property owner, who is several states away, and people in our community that care about our community. And those dialogues have been respectful, they've been civil, they've been productive. So to me, this is how good planning should work. And I know Naya just did a presentation at the APA last Friday, and I'm hoping that next year at the Planning and Zoning Workshop, she can do a presentation on how this project came together, because that's how sound it is. So thank you to the folks on the dais for their hard work, and thank you to the citizens. And I'm glad that someone up here mentioned that we have boards and commission openings, because if there's people here involved tonight with questions, that's great. everyone here can shape the future of our city. And it doesn't mean you have to run for office, but you can certainly serve on an important board like planning, important boards like BZA, the Board of Zoning Appeals, our Parks and Recreation Board. So please get involved and stay involved, because it's great to see so many faces here tonight. And Josh talked too much. So back to the chair. Thank you, Mrs. Denning.
Thank you. All right, so seeing nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.